The CEO agreed to one last blind date until the girl walked in carrying his daughter's favorite toy. The late afternoon sun filtered through the leaves overhead, casting golden shadows across the cobblestone path that led to Noir and Ivy, a quiet garden cafe tucked in a cozy corner of New York City. The breeze was gentle, rustling the ivy-covered trellises and carrying the scent of brewed coffee and fresh pastries. Adrian Cole stepped into the cafe's patio, adjusting the cuff of his blazer. He looked every inch the CEO he was, sharp, composed, impeccably dressed in navy and gray, yet his eyes, dark and distant, carried a weariness that no tailored suit could hide. At 34, he was already a widower of 4 years, and despite his success running a luxury interior design firm, nothing quite filled the space left by his wife's passing, except perhaps for his daughter, Lily. He checked his watch, suppressing a sigh. This was not where he wanted to be. Not on a blind date. Not again. He had refused so many over the years that his sister, Grace, had practically begged him to try one more time. You just have to show up. Talk. No pressure. So here he was, unenthusiastic, tired, just waiting to get it over with. Earlier, he had dropped Lily off at Grace's apartment, where she had cheerfully skipped into her aunt's arms, clutching her favorite stuffed unicorn bear, Starry. As he drove away, he had glanced once in the rearview mirror, watching her wave, pink dress fluttering in the breeze. Now, sitting at a corner table under an olive tree, Adrian scrolled absently through his phone. Around him, couples laughed, baristas clinked cups, and soft jazz played through the speakers. He barely looked up when a soft, hurried voice spoke. "Hi. I am so sorry I am late." Adrian lifted his gaze and saw her. She stood just beyond the table, catching her breath. Slim frame, hair a cascade of light blonde curls, cheeks slightly flushed from rushing. She wore a light cardigan over a floral dress, and despite her hurried entrance, there was something serene about her presence. She smiled, a bit apologetic, and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. I helped a little girl who fell on the sidewalk a few blocks from here. She was bleeding a bit, and I couldn't just leave her." Adrian's brow furrowed slightly. He hadn't expected an explanation. He hadn't expected much at all, really. But her voice was calm, sincere, with no hint of dramatics. "It's fine," he said, gesturing for her to sit. She did, setting her tote bag on the chair beside her. In her lap rested a small, well-worn stuffed unicorn bear, its fur light pink with tiny silver stars. The moment Adrian saw it, his entire body stiffened. The bear had a faint mark above its right ear, a tiny thread of blue where Lily had once tried to stitch it herself. His eyes darkened, focused. "Where did you get that?" His voice came out more sharply than he intended. Olivia blinked in surprise, glancing down at the bear in her hands. "This?" she said gently. "The little girl I helped, she gave it to me just before her aunt took her to the hospital. She insisted I keep it. Said it was for good luck." Adrian's chair scraped slightly as he leaned forward. Was she okay? How badly was she hurt? His voice trembled with urgency now. "That bear. It belongs to my daughter." The air between them thickened for a moment, the world around their small table fading into a muted hum. Adrian's eyes stayed locked on the pink unicorn bear in Olivia's lap, the weight of his worry pressing into every muscle in his body. Olivia remained calm. She didn't shrink under his gaze, nor did she fumble for words. She simply offered the truth with the kind of quiet steadiness that came from a place of kindness, not obligation. "She was picked up by a family member," she said gently, "and taken to the hospital, just to be safe. It looked like a minor scrape on her knee and elbow. Some blood, but nothing serious." Adrian exhaled slowly, some of the tension leaving his shoulders. "I did not realize," Olivia continued softly, "that she was your daughter. I'm really sorry if I caused any worry." No, you did the right thing," Adrian said, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "It's not your fault. When I saw that bear," he trailed off. His voice had dropped from urgency to something more vulnerable, quieter. Olivia nodded in understanding. I found her just 2 blocks from here, she said, her eyes drifting slightly as if replaying the moment. She was sitting on the sidewalk, alone, crying. Her pink dress had dust all over it, and she had a small cut on her hand. It wasn't deep, but it looked painful. Adrian's chest tightened. He could already imagine Lily's tear-streaked cheeks, her tiny voice trembling. I had tissues and a little hand sanitizer in my bag, Olivia continued. So I cleaned the wound, knelt beside her, and told her a quick story about a magical Band-Aid. It calmed her down enough to smile again. She smiled faintly at the memory. Then a woman, your sister, I assume, rushed over, completely frantic. She had been standing a bit down the block, on her phone, and didn't notice Lily had wandered to the curb. Adrian nodded. That sounded like Grace, overwhelmed and distracted, trying to juggle 10 things at once. She thanked me over and over, Olivia added, and then took Lily to the hospital just to be sure. Right before they left, she grabbed my hand and gave me the bear. She said, "This is Starry. She keeps me safe. Now she'll keep you safe too." Adrian looked at the bear again. The name Lily was faintly stitched in pink thread on the bear's paw. His heart clenched. He sat back, eyes distant, the weight of fatherhood and guilt slowly washing over him. "She never gives that bear away," he said after a long pause. "It's been with her since she was 2. Olivia said nothing, only watched him quietly. "I should go," he added after a moment, glancing at his phone. "I need to be with her. I'm sorry to leave like this. Would it be all right if we talked another time?" Before Olivia could answer, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. It was Grace. He answered quickly. "Hey, how is she?" he asked. Grace's voice came through, breathless but calmer now. "She's fine, just stubborn. The doctor said it's only a scratch, but she won't sleep. She's asking for someone." Adrian frowned. "Who?" "She keeps saying she wants the blonde fairy lady. She will not stop crying until she sees her again." Adrian blinked, then slowly turned toward Olivia, who had clearly heard every word. She looked both surprised and a little amused, her expression softening. "I think she means you," he said, almost smiling. Would you mind coming with me, just for a little while? It might help her settle down." Olivia hesitated, then nodded once. "If it makes her feel safe, I would be happy to." They stood together, the moment still wrapped in a strange, unexpected warmth. Adrian opened the cafe gate and held it for her. She walked past him, still holding Starry in her arms. As they stepped onto the sidewalk, the city lights flickering to life around them, something unspoken hung in the air. Not quite familiarity, not quite fate, but something real, something beginning. They walked together toward his car, 2 strangers connected by a little girl and the soft, pink bear that now rested gently between them. The hospital room was softly lit, the scent of antiseptic lingering beneath the pastel murals painted on the walls. Flowers, stars, and animals meant to soothe little hearts. Lily sat on the edge of the bed, a bandage on her elbow, her legs swinging restlessly over the side. The moment the door creaked open, her eyes darted up, and then they lit up like morning sun. "Fairy lady," she squealed. Adrian barely had time to speak before Lily launched herself off the bed and into Olivia's arms. The little girl clung to her neck, pressing her cheek into Olivia's shoulder with the kind of trust that usually took years to earn. Olivia crouched to receive her, her arms instinctively wrapping around the child as if this was something she'd done 1,000 times before. Adrian stood frozen at the threshold, watching the scene unfold like something out of a dream he did not dare name. Lily, his Lily, the girl who clung to him and no one else since her mother passed, was smiling, glowing, like a child in the presence of something magic. And maybe, Adrian thought, it was magic. "I missed you," Lily whispered. Olivia pulled back just enough to look at her. "That was fast," she teased, brushing a strand of hair behind Lily's ear. "It has only been a few hours. But you had Starry." Lily said, as if that explained everything. So I knew you'd come back. Olivia smiled, then reached into her bag and produced the bear. I believe this belongs to a very brave girl. Lily's face lit up as she took the bear and held it tightly to her chest. Adrian finally stepped inside, quietly moving to the corner chair. He did not interrupt. He only watched. Would you like a story? Olivia asked. Lily nodded enthusiastically, climbing back onto the bed with Starry in one hand and Olivia's other hand still held tightly in hers. I think this one, Olivia began, pulling a small notebook and pencil from her tote, is about a unicorn named Starry, who got lost in the big city, but found her way home with the help of a fairy who could hear the quietest hearts. She spoke with soft inflection, her voice lilting like a lullaby, drawing pictures in the air with her words. Then, almost without thinking, she began sketching on a page of the notebook, loose lines forming a unicorn with big, kind eyes and tiny wings. Lily giggled. She looks just like my Starry. Of course, Olivia said, because this is her story. Adrian watched from his seat, his heart doing something it had not done in years. It softened. He had seen therapists, teachers, babysitters, all kind, all well-meaning, but none of them had reached Lily like this. None of them had made her laugh this freely or listened so closely. There was no effort in the way Olivia handled her. No patronizing tone. No exaggerated sweetness. Just calm, genuine warmth, like a fire lit quietly in the center of a cold room. And then it happened. As Olivia turned the notebook to show Lily the finished sketch, Lily leaned in and whispered, "Mommy Fairy." The words hung in the air like something sacred. Adrian's breath caught. Olivia looked up, surprised, her mouth parting slightly. For a moment, the room was utterly still. Olivia did not flinch. She did not laugh or correct her. Instead, she reached out gently and ran her fingers through Lily's soft curls. "Thank you for letting me be your fairy," she said simply. Adrian looked away, his throat tightening. In that single, innocent moment, something inside him cracked open, a place he had sealed for years, where grief had taken root and kept love at a distance. He had never imagined Lily calling anyone that word again. But there it was, offered freely, not to replace, but to heal. And Olivia had received it with grace. He looked back at them, Olivia and Lily, side by side, the sketch between them, the bear nestled in Lily's lap. A thread had been tied, fragile, quiet, but real. And maybe, just maybe, this was not the end of something. It was the start. The next afternoon brought with it the kind of gentle autumn sun that made the city feel softer, quieter. Adrian had not overthought the invitation. At least, he told himself that. It was just lunch, a thank you gesture. Still, as he pulled up in front of the small cafe near Central Park with Lily's hand in his and a reserved table waiting inside, it felt like something more. Olivia was already seated when they arrived, her hair catching the light like golden silk as she looked up and smiled. "Hi, you two," she greeted. Lily ran ahead, climbing into the seat beside Olivia, as if they had been meeting for lunch all her life. Adrian followed, slower, watching the interaction with that now familiar mix of curiosity and surprise. "No fairy wings today?" Olivia asked Lily with a playful grin. "I left them at home," Lily said seriously. "But it's okay. You still look like a fairy." Olivia laughed, and Adrian, slipping into the seat across from her, found himself smiling too. The waiter came and went, and the conversation flowed more easily than expected. They talked about the weather, Lily's favorite bedtime books, and how Adrian could not draw a stick figure to save his life. "I still do my own story illustrations," Olivia said. "It's how I started, actually, drawing little picture books for my neighbor's kids." Lily munched on grilled cheese and listened intently. "You write stories like the one about Starry?" "All kinds," Olivia nodded. "But my favorite stories are the ones where someone small finds their voice." Adrian watched her as she spoke. There was something so natural in the way she engaged with Lily, never talking to her, but with her. It was rare and real. How did you get into writing? He asked, genuinely curious now. Olivia paused for a moment, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. My mom passed away when I was 6. She used to tell me bedtime stories, her own, not the ones from books. After she was gone, I started writing them down so I wouldn't forget. Adrian's expression shifted. I'm sorry. It's okay, Olivia replied with a small, calm smile. Losing her taught me how much stories can stay with us, even when people don't. I guess writing became my way of keeping her close and helping other kids feel a little less alone. Adrian nodded slowly. He respected that she shared it without bitterness, without seeking sympathy, just honesty, just heart. He glanced at Lily, who was humming to herself as she dipped a fry into ketchup with careful concentration. She talks about you, Adrian said. A lot. Last night she told me that Starry sleeps better when you're around. Olivia looked down at her plate, touched. She's very special. She sees things most people miss. Before Adrian could reply, Lily reached across the table for her juice, and in a single clumsy moment, the glass tipped. Water splashed across the table. Silverware clattered. Oh no! Lily gasped, startled. Adrian reached instinctively, but Olivia was faster. In one fluid motion, she leaned across, shielding Lily with her arm and pulling her gently into her side. The water soaked into her cardigan instead of Lily's dress. It's okay, sweetie, Olivia said softly, brushing a damp strand of hair from Lily's forehead. No one's mad. It was just an accident. Lily clung to her, a little shaken. Adrian sat back, his breath caught, not because of the spill, but because of her. He watched the way Olivia calmed Lily with just a few words and a steady presence. There was no panic, no fuss, just comfort, just care. She handled it the way a mother might, only gentler. For the first time in a very long while, Adrian saw not a stranger, not a blind date, not even just a kind woman. He saw a family, or the possibility of one, and it startled him, in a good way. Olivia looked up and caught his gaze, her eyes quietly questioning. He didn't say anything, but he smiled, and in that silence, something between them quietly shifted, like a door creaking open, just wide enough to let the light in. The weekend arrived with crisp skies and the scent of roasted peanuts and cotton candy drifting through the air. Adrian had surprised both Olivia and Lily with the invitation, a day at the amusement park, just the 3 of them. Or, as Lily had squealed, my favorite people in one place. Adrian had not planned it down to every detail. It was not a business pitch or a formal outing. It was simply time. A space carved out for something joyful, something real. And somehow, Olivia said yes without hesitation. Now, walking side by side through the wide park paths, Adrian carried Lily on his shoulders, while Olivia laughed beside them. Holding a bag of popcorn Lily had insisted they buy, the 3 of them rode the carousel first. Lily chose a white horse with golden reins. Olivia stood beside her, hand on her back, while Adrian took the next horse, a little awkward but smiling. After that came the spinning teacups, Lily's idea, and the photo booth, where Olivia leaned in close. Lily kissed Adrian on the cheek, and Adrian, startled, actually laughed. When the sun climbed higher, they sat beneath a shady tree eating vanilla and strawberry ice cream. Lily's had rainbow sprinkles, naturally. She insisted on giving Olivia the last bite. Best day ever, Lily declared between sticky fingers and giggles. He saw a family, or the possibility of one, and it startled him, in a good way. Olivia looked up and caught his gaze, her eyes quietly questioning. He didn't say anything, but he smiled, and in that silence, something between them quietly shifted, like a door creaking open, just wide enough to let the light in. The weekend arrived with crisp skies and the scent of roasted peanuts and cotton candy drifting through the air. Adrian had surprised both Olivia and Lily with the invitation, a day at the amusement park, just the 3 of them. Or, as Lily had squealed, my favorite people in one place. Adrian had not planned it down to every detail. It was not a business pitch or a formal outing. It was simply time. A space carved out for something joyful, something real. And somehow, Olivia said yes without hesitation. Now, walking side by side through the wide park paths, Adrian carried Lily on his shoulders, while Olivia laughed beside them. Holding a bag of popcorn Lily had insisted they buy, the three of them rode the carousel first. Lily chose a white horse with golden reins. Olivia stood beside her, hand on her back, while Adrian took the next horse, a little awkward but smiling. After that came the spinning teacups, Lily's idea, and the photo booth, where Olivia leaned in close. Lily kissed Adrian on the cheek, and Adrian, startled, actually laughed. When the sun climbed higher, they sat beneath a shady tree eating vanilla and strawberry ice cream. Lily's had rainbow sprinkles, naturally. She insisted on giving Olivia the last bite. Best day ever, Lily declared between sticky fingers and giggles. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the sound of the park faded again. There was something unspoken growing between them. Not rushed, not named, but felt. Just then, Lily came running back, cheeks flushed, curls bouncing. "Look what I made!" she shouted, holding up a colorful sheet of paper. She climbed into Adrian's lap and proudly handed him the drawing. Crayon lines filled the page, 3 stick figures standing beneath a sun with curly rays. One was tall with black hair. One had yellow swirls for curls. And in the middle, the smallest one had a pink dress and held both their hands. Underneath, in uneven letters, was one word: family. Adrian stared at it. The words seemed to echo in his chest, louder than the music rides, louder than the laughter. He swallowed hard. His throat tightened. Olivia leaned over gently to see, and her breath caught just slightly. Lily beamed. "That is you, Daddy. That's Olivia. And that's me. I drew us all." Adrian looked at Olivia, eyes full. She looked back, touched, surprised, moved, but quiet. There was no need to say anything. The pictures said it all. The weeks that followed were filled with gentle rituals that slowly began to feel like a life shared. Olivia now picked Lily up from preschool on Fridays, and on Monday mornings, Lily would hand Adrian hand-drawn pictures of Olivia with fairy wings and hearts floating above her head. It was Lily's idea to invite Olivia to Family Day at school, a day meant for parents, grandparents, or anyone who felt like home. "I want to bring Olivia," Lily had said simply. "She's family too." Adrian had smiled, not correcting her. By now, it felt like they had become their own little rhythm. So when Adrian suggested a quiet weekend picnic just outside the city, neither Olivia nor Lily hesitated. The three of them spent the afternoon under a sycamore tree in a quiet field, with sandwiches, a plaid blanket, and the warm kind of laughter that made time blur. Lily was chasing butterflies with a paper net when it happened. They were packing up, Olivia folding napkins, Adrian shaking out the blanket, when a voice called from behind. "Well, this is unexpected." Olivia froze. Adrian turned. A tall man in his mid-30s, sharply dressed in a fitted blazer and expensive shoes, stood just a few feet away. He held a tablet in one hand, sunglasses perched on his head, and wore the confident smirk of someone who never expected to be surprised, yet somehow was. "Ethan," Olivia said quietly. Adrian looked between them. The name unfamiliar, but the tension unmistakable. Ethan stepped closer, ignoring Adrian's presence completely. "I got the email last night. I had no idea you were freelancing with our publishing house now." Small world. Adrian's brow furrowed. "You two know each other?" Olivia hesitated. "Ethan and we used to be together, years ago." Ethan gave a soft chuckle. "More than just together, Liv. We were engaged." Briefly, Adrian stiffened. Olivia shot Ethan a look, sharp and unamused. That was a long time ago. But Ethan pressed on, eyes flicking to the remnants of the picnic. You've moved on, clearly. I didn't realize fairy tales came with a kid and a CEO. Adrian narrowed his gaze. You're her editor? Starting next week, Ethan said smoothly. Senior acquisitions. Guess we'll be seeing a lot of each other, Liv. Olivia stepped slightly in front of Adrian, trying to diffuse the moment. This isn't the time, Ethan. But the damage had been done. Adrian's expression had changed, guarded, unreadable. Later, in the car ride back, he was unusually quiet. Lily had fallen asleep in the back seat, her little hand still clutching a daisy she had picked earlier. I was going to tell you, Olivia said softly, about Ethan, but it never felt important. Adrian's hands tightened slightly on the steering wheel. An ex-fiancé you're now working under? That feels relevant. Olivia exhaled. He's from a chapter that's closed. There's nothing between us. I was blindsided too. He did not answer. The silence stretched uncomfortably. Then, just as they pulled into the city, another storm hit. Outside Adrian's apartment building, an older woman was waiting on the front steps, stern, elegant, and unmistakably cold. Evelyn Cole, Adrian's former mother-in-law. The moment she saw them get out of the car, her eyes locked onto Olivia with disdain. This is her? She snapped. This is the woman you're parading around in front of Lily? Adrian tensed. Evelyn, I come to drop off Lily's birthday gift early and find this? A stranger playing house with my granddaughter? Lily stirred at the commotion, her eyes wide and anxious. She's not just a stranger, Adrian said firmly. She's been there for Lily. Oh, please, Evelyn scoffed. How long has it even been? Months? You think your late wife would be proud of this? Letting a woman with a questionable past cozy up to your child? Stop, Adrian said, his voice low, dangerous. But Olivia had already stepped back, her face pale but composed. Her eyes flicked to Lily, who now stood frozen, clutching, starry, confusion turning quickly to fear. I should go, Olivia said quietly. Olivia, wait. Adrian started, but she shook her head gently. This is not about me. It's about her. And I will not be the reason she's scared. Without another word, Olivia turned and walked down the street, the autumn wind catching her hair as Lily's voice called faintly after her. Wait, Mommy Fairy? But Olivia didn't turn back. Not this time. The apartment felt different without Olivia's quiet presence woven into the day. Adrian noticed it in the smallest things. The silence over dinner, the absence of Lily's endless giggles retelling fairy tales, the way Starry now sat untouched at the edge of Lily's bed. It had been 3 days since Olivia walked away. And Lily had grown quiet. She no longer asked for ice cream at odd hours or danced in her pajamas. Instead, she stared out the window most evenings, the crayon in her hand pausing over unfinished drawings. One night, as Adrian tucked her in, she looked up at him with wide, solemn eyes. Daddy, she whispered, can you read me a story? Of course, he said, reaching for the nearest book. No, she shook her head gently. Not from a book. Tell me one from her. The one the blonde fairy told me, about Starry and the secret garden. Adrian's heart squeezed. He nodded, but his voice cracked halfway through the retelling. The next morning, he made a decision. He left Lily with Grace, kissed her forehead, and drove across the city to the address Olivia had once scribbled on a napkin, the little brownstone where she wrote, dreamed, healed. When she opened the door, she looked surprised, not upset, just tired. Adrian, she said quietly, I needed to see you. She stepped aside, and he entered, noticing the half-packed boxes by the wall, a suitcase near the door. You're leaving? He asked, though he already knew the answer. I was offered a full-time position with a children's foundation in Vermont, Olivia said gently. It's good work, stable, away from complications. Adrian ran a hand through his hair, searching for the right words. You do not have to explain, she added before he could speak. I understand, truly. You and Lily have your world, And you were never just passing through, he interrupted. She paused, her expression guarded. I know I was slow, Adrian continued. I held back, I let my fears speak louder than my heart. But Olivia, you are not filling a void. You are giving us something we never had. She blinked, but said nothing. You told me I needed time to heal, he went on. But you were the healing. You made my daughter feel safe. You made me want to try again. Not because I was lonely, not because Lily asked, but because being around you felt like coming home. Olivia looked away, her voice barely above a whisper. I needed to know that you wanted me, not just someone who's good with your daughter. I do, he said, stepping closer. But it's not just about what I want, it's what we want, all three of us. She shook her head gently. She is just a child. She does not get to make decisions like that. Then, maybe you should hear it from her. Olivia's brows furrowed slightly. Adrian walked to the door and opened it. Lily stood there, clutching Starry in one arm, a folded piece of paper in the other. I asked Daddy to bring me, she said, shy, but firm. Olivia knelt down as Lily stepped inside. I made you this, Lily whispered, handing her the drawing. It was the same stick figure family, but this time, the word family had a small heart drawn beside it. Above the figures, Lily had written in wobbly letters, Please don't go, Mommy Fairy. Tears welled in Olivia's eyes as she pulled Lily into her arms. Adrian watched, his own eyes glistening. And in that quiet living room, surrounded by boxes she might not need to pack anymore, something shifted. Because the truth had been spoken, not just by words, but through a child's heart. And this time, Olivia did not walk away. The sky drizzled softly, a light mist dusting the sidewalks of New York like a whispered memory. Street lamps shimmered in the puddles, and the warm glow of Noir and Ivy, the quaint garden cafe where it all began, spilled out through its ivy-framed windows. Adrian stood just outside the gate, holding Lily's hand. Olivia stood across from them, her curls dampened by the mist, a faint smile curving her lips. She had come, though she had not asked why. Lily looked up at Olivia and stepped forward, wrapping her small arms tightly around her. I knew you'd come, Lily whispered. You really are my fairy. Please don't go anymore. Olivia crouched and held the little girl close, brushing rain from her forehead. I missed you so much, Lily murmured, burying her face in her shoulder. I missed you too, Olivia replied, her voice trembling. Adrian watched them for a long, quiet moment. Then, he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Olivia. She looked up slowly as he stepped toward her, the streetlight casting a warm halo over his rain-specked hair and suit. He lowered himself to one knee, not minding the wet pavement. In his hand, a ring. Simple, elegant. The centerpiece was a small, silver star, the same shape stitched on Starry's paw. You came into my life without a promise, Adrian said, his voice steady. No grand entrance, no expectations, just kindness, just love, in the quietest form. Olivia's breath caught. No one has ever made Lily laugh the way you do, he continued. No one's ever made me want to try again. Not just for her, but for myself. He looked up at her, his eyes shining, not with certainty, but with hope. You don't fill a space that someone else left behind. You make room where there never was any. You remind us both what it feels like to be whole. The rain fell gently between them, cool on their skin, warm in their hearts. Lily clutched Starry to her chest, her eyes wide, watching. Olivia pressed a trembling hand to her mouth, tears mingling with raindrops. And then, she nodded. A soft, tearful, radiant nod. Yes, she whispered. Adrian smiled, slipping the ring onto her finger as she knelt beside him, pulling him, and Lily, into an embrace. They held each other under the rain, beneath the lights, at the place where fate had first nudged them into one another's orbit. 3 hearts, 1 family, not perfect, but real, and built, not on fairy dust, but on kindness, courage, and love that chose to stay. And so, beneath the gentle rain and the soft glow of city lights, a new chapter began, not born of perfection, but of healing, grace, and love chosen every day. Adrian, Olivia, and little Lily proved that sometimes the most unexpected encounters lead to the most beautiful families.